Okay, my friends, today this is a preliminary video on what I'm going to be doing to my car in the very near future. I have this Megan suspension system on the car. I bought a couple years ago, and it's supposed to be for street and road, but it's just too stiff. Even on the softest settings, I'm having a rough ride, except when you're on a smooth highway. So I'm going to take the Megan suspension system off, and I'm going to put on the stock rear shocks, and here's the struts right here and the rear shocks, and I have the factory TRD lowering springs that came with the car when I bought it. So I'm going to be putting that back on and taking off the Megan suspension system. Okay, and we see, for guys who know me, I have 3 of these cars. This is my personal car, this is my work car, and that's a spare, just in case. All right, I'll get back to you. Okay, welcome back, my friends. Today, we're going to finish the suspension job and change the struts in the front. We've already done the rears. So let me just explain what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all 4 tires off because I'm going to do a little tire rotation when I'm done. But here is one of the struts that I've already put together. And I'm going to show you how to put this together. This is the tool that I use, a spring compressor. And these are the extra parts that I have, the insulator, the bumper. And I also bought these shims. According to the diagram, these are supposed to go up there. So we'll figure that out. And here's the other spring. In case you haven't watched my other videos, these are TRD factory lowering springs that I ordered when I bought the car. Okay, just to reiterate that. So let me get the wheels off, and then we're also going to take off the cowl so we can get to the strut bolts, and we'll resume. Here's the other strut. And some extra parts in here that I bought, these brakes, shims, and these, because my brakes are squeaking, and I'm going to do that. That's going to be another project. These are extra nuts for the wheel hubs. All right, so these are factory springs, struts, and as I mentioned before, I use this Megan suspension system. I bought these, it was during COVID, and couldn't get in touch with the company, so I wound up buying them. It says street on it, but the shocks are struts themselves. It says off-road use only, and it's really a stiff ride. I think what they mean by this is street cars, not street use. However, it was a mistake on my part. I wasn't able to get in touch with the company, so we're going to save these for another day. All right, so we'll bring this over to the bench. And obviously this one here is, I believe this is the passenger side. Yes, passenger side. Or maybe it's the driver's side. Okay, let's get situated here. Okay, so this is the driver's side. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about here, because this is the passenger side, because this goes like this. Here's your spindle, and these are towards the rear. So this is the driver's side. One thing I want to mention, and oh, by the way, here's the other parts I saved from the old struts. One thing I want to mention about these is that when I put this Megan suspension system on, I had to redo the wheel alignment, of course, because these did not line up with the factory steering linkage. The wheels were kind of like that, so I had to adjust them in at least so I could drive the car and bring it to get the wheels aligned. So what I did this time to avoid that from happening is I bought this tool here online. It's sort of a wheel alignment. It's basically for the toe in and toe out, and you bolt these onto your brakes, your calipers, not your calipers, your discs, and then you use these two measuring tapes to measure the toe in and toe out, just so that we can at least get it to a point where we can drive it to the wheel alignment place. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here's where we're at. Remove the cowl, so now I have access to the strut mounts. I installed these toe-in, these plates, and they're useless. They're useless because how am I supposed to measure from plate to plate? They're not low enough. See? It's supposed to be, this is the measuring point here. It's going to be in the way of the whole system. So let me see if we can at least maybe go underneath, see if that helps. Because this is crucial if you're going to drive the car, and we're going to drive the car. So let me see if this is going to work. Alright, so that's there. You got that on. And so right now we're measuring 62 inches. 62 and a 16. Let me get a flashlight. Okay. 62 and an eighth, I'm going to say. Now, I can't measure the rear because the chassis is in the way. So whoever made this tool did take that into consideration. So I don't know how what we can do is maybe measure between the frame, which is kind of crooked. I'm not going to be able to get an accurate reading. So now you know this tool is not going to work on these cars. Well, let's continue and start removing the sway bar arms and the linkage and all that, brake line, and continue. Okay, so here's our spring compressor. This is a very inexpensive tool. What you want to do is, you're going to use this, make sure you have these safety pins to protect this thing from popping out, because this could do some serious damage to your face. So we're going to adjust these in so that we can get this spring, and you want it to sit right into here, or here, let me see. There's a groove in here where the end of that spring goes. We'll figure it out once we get it on. And don't forget, this is goes like this. This is the passenger. I'm sorry, this is the driver's side. Here's the part number, 74081250507 R08. Alright, so we're going to put this spring on. Okay, there's your groove where your spring goes. So we're going to tighten these up, bring this down, and then we're going to put our insulator, 48 157 520 030. This is to protect the shaft from dirt, grime, and grease and road stuff. And then our bump stop, 488 331 74010. And it goes on like that. And let me tighten up this spring and then continue. You want to make sure it goes on enough so that you can get your other pieces on here. This is going to go on like that, and this is a, not sure if that's a bearing or what, but so let's put our bump stop on. This prevents the, in case the shock bottoms out. That's what it's for. And put our insulator on, just like that. Situate this. Okay. Center that. I believe I'm going to have to tighten that down some more. Let me see. Oh no, I can get that bolt in there. Alright, so now you have your strut bolt here to hold that in. Make sure this is in its position. Alright, just going to make sure that that spring's in the right position. Let's look at this one here. Okay, that's the stop. It's facing the front of the car. I don't think there's any other way you can put this on, but I'm just making sure. The last thing I want to do is have to take it apart after it's on. This is going to go on like this. This is the passenger side. Okay. Don't see how that can go on any other way, so I'm pretty sure we're okay. That's it. So now we're going to start to remove the steering linkage and remove the struts. Alright, let's put a little lubrication on here. Alright. Alright, now I can let that sink in. I'll do the other side and we'll start taking things apart. Okay, 17 millimeter, 17 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 14 millimeter. These are all loose. This is a speed sensor there. Get all this stuff out of the way. Alright, so here's our sway bar. This is our steering linkage. This is our brake line, speed sensor access. Let me see, hold on. Yeah, this is the speed sensor. Got to get this stuff all out of the way. And the next thing we're going to take off is these. Let me get a backup wrench here. These are 21 millimeters. Let me see. These are 19. That's a 19 millimeter. Okay. Let me get a box wrench. And what you want to be careful is you don't want your axle to come out, so you have to be careful. Well, this is loose, and then this movement right here, that's your camber. That you gotta have special equipment for that, and that's the reason why when I'm done, I'm going to take it to a wheel alignment place, get it done right. All right, so let's remove our steering linkage. It's all loose, and then I could use this tool right here to get in there, because I don't want to bang it and then wind up destroying the threads. Well, let me do this and then I'll get back to you. Alright, so everything's loose here. The only thing I have to take out are remove these bolts. I'm going to loosen up the bolts on top. Alright, these are 12 millimeters. Move this out of the way. I want to be careful not to pull the axle out. Okay, it's loose. Make sure this is nothing binding here. Okay, now we can remove that bolt up there. There you are. I bought new ones. Here it is. Okay. Now we'll get the new one. Get that in. This is the new one. As you can see, this one goes. Actually, this is the driver's side. Man. Now we're talking. Okay. All right. Let's get this started. Didn't really have to replace these since I have them. 448, 687, 7410. If I don't replace them, they'll be sitting around the shop until I'm pushing up daisies. Okay. I use this template to figure out the alignment of these holes so you know you got that in the right spot. So that's there, that's there, and that's there. So it's going to go like that. Just like that. Okay, so we got it started. We're going to use the factory bolts on here. Going to put that rubber seal back on there, right here. That takes care of the top, and then we'll take these bolts here and put them back on these Megan struts in case we ever reuse these, because they're, you know, they're great. It's a great system, but it's definitely not for a daily driver. At least that's my opinion anyway. All right, so now we just have to put this back together. Okay, so we got everything back together. The only thing we have to do now is torque these bolts onto the knuckle. So I'm going to do that now. That's 121 foot-pounds. Okay, let me get an extension here. All right, there you go. That's takes care of the passenger side. The only thing we're going to do once we get the other strut in is we've got to adjust the steering so we can get a similar toe adjustment before we bring it up to the wheel alignment place. All right, let's get over to the other side. Okay, my friends, we are finished here. Both struts are in. Just have to put the cowl on. I did a toe in adjustment the best I could. 61 1/8, which is where it was before, just in the front. So I have an appointment tomorrow at a local wheel alignment shop, and they're going to do the wheel alignment. It's only about a mile or so away, so I'll get that all straightened out. So I'm going to put the wheels back on and the cowl, and then we'll be finished. And then we'll take it for a ride. Here's the driver's side. As you can see here, everything's hooked back up, and knuckles, bolts for the knuckles are torqued. Moving right along. Let's finish this baby up. Okay, so we're taking the baby for a ride now. This is got the wheels aligned yesterday, and it's riding much better, you know, for a daily driver at least. Much smoother. It's not as stiff, so I'm satisfied. So that's basically how you change the shocks and struts. I hope this video worked out for you. It's not a difficult job. You don't really need any expensive tools to do this job. You need a 17mm socket, 19mm socket, 14mm socket, a torque wrench, of course. You could purchase a wheel alignment tool that I bought, but for a car like this you could probably find a better way to do that. Save the money. It wasn't expensive. It was $25 or something like that. I may use it in the future, or I may not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Got a lot more work to do on these cars. Stand by, stick around, and we'll catch you on the next one.